bitches go.
We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxing Ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. More bad news for the streaming app Dazn. The Dazn curse continues. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, the Cash App, and the Patreon family. We working. Sign up for ESPN Plus below using my link. It definitely helps the channel. When you guys click on that link, you can get ESPN Plus, a standalone app. You can watch that. I have it. You get NFL, you get MLB, all types of programming. You can also get ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Disney Plus as a bundle if you choose. And it might be a good idea during this uncertain time where people are locked in the house with self-quarantines and whatnot. So you can catch up on some shows. Now, let's talk about it. And it does help the channel when you guys use that. Bad news for Dazn. I'm on Dazn's website right now, and I was just thinking, like, you know, there's nothing for me to do other than to think during these times with the Rona and the quarantines. So I'm thinking about my content, and I was just thinking about the impact that this has had on the world. You know, people have lost their lives, boxing. You know, I'm just thinking about the whole shebang. And then I remembered something which prompted this video that you guys see in the title. The Dazn curse strikes again. This is bad news because I was thinking about it. Undoubtedly, the whole economy is hurt by nobody feeling comfortable or having the reassurance or, you know, regulations and bans that prohibit them from going out. So, you know, businesses are suffering right now because people aren't spending money for obvious reasons. And I just started thinking about Dazn versus like some of the other competitors that they have, like Top Rank, ESPN, PBC on Fox, and PBC on Showtime. And I feel like Dazn is getting hit even harder because their whole lineup just got canceled, as did everybody's lineup. But they are on a whole different program. Like Showtime, you have to remember, is still a channel outside of its boxing content. So that doesn't mean they're not going to air comedy specials, movies, and other content that they have on the platform. Same thing with Fox. Fox is a network, so they have other sports. Even if sports are banned, they have news, they have TV shows, you know, different things like that. And the same could be said for ESPN and ESPN Plus. They have more of a backlog. ESPN Plus, use my link if you guys want to sign up so you guys can see. But they got shows like 30 for 30 and docu-series, like real well-made documentaries, right? I still got to watch the one on Dennis Rodman. So they have content during this quarantine and whatnot that you can kind of backlog. Dazn, they were looking to leave their mark in the U.S. space and stuff like that. And Eddie Hearn was boasting about how much money they had and saying American takeover. But their content has the least amount of things. Like, this is not like Netflix or Hulu or ESPN Plus or Disney Plus in terms of the backlog of content. Yes, they have some like classic fights or like old school fights you could watch, but most of those are readily available on the YouTube. You know, you can click on YouTube and you can see some of the same fights. And some of these fights, you know, Top Rank have posted, or Dazn's YouTube or whoever's posting them, because I see them. I seen the fights on, like, they have, like, let's say Mayweather and Canelo. I've watched it on YouTube. You know, I didn't upload it, so it doesn't have nothing to do with me. So if somebody infringed on copyrights or whatever, I don't know who uploaded it. But the point being is, during this time of silence for sports, you have to pay. DAZN is the only one. Remember, they kept saying pay-per-view is dead and whatnot. So I was thinking about it, and I'm like, so you got to pay $9.99 or $19.99 or the $100 a month, $99.99, and all of their events got canceled. Virgil Ortiz was supposed to fight, canceled. Canelo's fight. Well, when I'm saying cancel, I mean canceled for the date it was slated and postponed. You know, I'm assuming. So they had Sergey Kovalev making his return after he just been knocked out by Canelo. You know, so I don't know how many people even want to see it, but him versus Sullivan Barrera, that's supposed to be a quadruple header. You had the fight with Virgil Ortiz. You had Canelo, even though he never announced officially, but the sources say, industry sources say, it was supposed to be Billy Joe Saunders. And all of these fights have now been canceled. So you're paying $99.99 a year, and we're off to such a rough start with 2020. You know, I think DAZN's calendar as is was already super, super light, you know, meaning the fights that they had announced. And, you know, they hadn't really announced any big fights, except for, I guess the biggest was Mikey versus Jesse Vargas, but that's already done. So now all these fights got moved off the dates for the foreseeable future, indefinitely, until, you know, we get word of how boxing can come back. And DAZN is, like I said, the only one out of the different boxing outlets like that are used, ESPN Plus, Fox, Showtime. It's the only one that's app-based only and don't really have a backlog of content, you know, that's exclusive or whatever the case is. Like, to watch 30 for 30 on ESPN Plus, I haven't seen it on YouTube, you know, to watch the whole 30-minute show, because YouTube is pretty good about cleaning up, you know, videos that ain't supposed to be there. So this is DAZN's website. It says it's fight season, which makes no sense because it's no fights coming on right now. It says big fights, any device, one price. Stream a stacked lineup of fights. You get Canelo, Triple G, Joshua, and many others. Like, this sounds super generic. All for just one price, exclusively on DAZN. Says asterisk, extent of available content subject to suspensions or cancellations by applicable authorities, rights holders. So I don't even know what that really means, but you guys get, if you, extent of available content subject to suspensions or cancellations by applicable authorities, rights holders. I don't even know what they're trying to say there, but whatever. So their annual pass is $99.99. That's a nearly 58, because they hiked the price up ridiculous, like so much more, so much greater than the monthly price, to dissuade people from buying the monthly and just popping in for Canelo fights or the fighters or the fight Triple G or whatever, Joshua, whoever they want to see, right? Says save nearly 58%, full access to live and on-demand content, which I just established. They don't really have a backlog of, like, you know, like Netflix. They have documentaries, movies and stuff. Disney Plus, they have like classic shows that I grew up watching, all seasons. They have all the Avengers movies, all the Iron Man movies. You see what I'm saying? Click below to sign up for ESPN Plus and Disney Plus and Hulu if you want. But you get what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to think of the value during this time, because DAZN might get hit potentially the hardest. And then their other flag bulletin is get all fights, including Canelo, Triple G, for a full year. Now, speaking of that, Canelo's fight was never announced. And I told you, I was like, this is weird, because you got to keep this in mind. This was before the lockdowns and quarantines and stuff like that. Canelo still hadn't even announced that he was officially fighting Billy Joe Saunders. In fact, reporters did, you know, got the scoop and said, hey, sources are suggesting that Billy Joe Saunders is finalized. Canelo made it a point, you know, to be a diva, and he took to Twitter and said, be careful of sources. It ain't official until I say it's official. So he never even confirmed that he was fighting Billy Joe Saunders. We're just all speculating because that's the information that, you know, is being passed around. You know, Eddie Hearn saying it now and stuff like that. But it was never officially announced. That's my point. So it says get all fights, Canelo, Triple G. Triple G is supposed to fight at the Forum. We don't even know what's up, based on what's going on in the world. And beyond that, he's fighting Camille Sesmeta. And then the Joshua fight, I think it's still on with Kubrat Pulev. To me, it's still not a big fight for Americans who you're charging this price to. And, I don't even know what's going to happen with that. It just depends on how long this takes before we can get a vaccine or updates or, contain this, whatever. So DAZN is crazy. And the funny thing is, on my channel, this is why I continue to look like the boxing god. This is why I continue to look like Ego Stradamus, because I told you in my past videos, one of the biggest things and problems with DAZN is they have to land fight. They were saying American takeover and this billion budget. It sounded good, but you have to find a way to resonate with Americans. And I don't think they've really put on a bunch of American fights that really resonated with the populace like that in America. And this is specifically why I told you, as a new company, I was not, they've been around for some time now, 2 years or whatever. But I told you, I'm not going to fork over $100 for an annual subscription when you don't have a track record of service and a track record of producing the fights that I want, that I desire, that I want to see. I would rather, if anything, buy the monthly, when I need it. And I feel there's a lot of people who would believe that same thing. Like I told you, I have a couple things where I have an annual subscription, like my Amazon Prime, but I literally use Amazon Prime. Some weeks I use it daily, but I definitely use it a couple times a month, multiple times a month, a lot actually, if you follow my Instagram stories, so I know I'm getting my money's worth. And I have some cloud-based services, like to store things in the cloud. And I'm doing it for a certain amount of terabytes of cloud storage space and the professional settings with the cloud storage. So these are things that I know I'm going to get my money's worth. But when it comes to, in the case of DAZN, you look at it, this is exactly what I warned you guys about. This is why I told you personally, I don't feel comfortable with a new company that hasn't put out hit after hit, and, built this rapport with the boxing world. Because for me, DAZN is only interesting because of boxing. I don't really watch Bellator much, unless it's just like, a couple guys, Paul Daly, Michael Venom Page, Chris Cyborg, maybe, something like that. I don't, it's not, I watch UFC a lot more than I would watch Bellator, just to be honest. So I really use it predominantly for combat sports, but mostly boxing. I don't watch darts and, some of the other content that they have available that's not even really popping or relevant to American audiences. And then now people who paid the year's off to such a horrible start, there wasn't that many big fights, and now everything's locked down and quarantined, so nobody can host fights. So what is DAZN going to do about that? Is it going to be a prorated amount, or people are just going to have a high cancellation rate? You see what I'm saying? And this is what I'm talking about. It's hard to justify. Like, okay, so how are you going to just explain this? $99.99, you're paying for the full year, but because of this pandemic that nobody expected, right? What can we use your app for when some people who watch my channel have it solely for the purpose of boxing versus, like I said, Disney Plus and ESPN Plus? Yeah, it sucks they're not going to necessarily have new UFC live bouts or boxing bouts during this, tumultuous time, but they still have other content, a huge amount, like documentaries and, sports shows and different things you can watch in the meantime, in between time, and they have classic fights as well, right? That you can watch. Or classic, I missed the Kevin Lee fight, so I watched it on ESPN Plus. You see what I'm saying? Because it came on in Brazil, so it came on pretty early for West Coast time. And I think I was doing a live stream. So I went back and I, quarantine or whatever, I went back and caught up on that. But with DAZN, it's like they don't have this huge backlog of content that they're sitting on. So guys like ESPN and Fox and Showtime, everybody's taking a hit. That's undoubtedly, with what's going on. Casinos are taking a hit. You're closing down for days. But I feel like for DAZN, the whole necessity for DAZN is boxing for a lot of people, and now boxing's paused. So how you gonna pay $100 for a year, and then 3 months of it, you can't necessarily watch boxing. 2 months of it, you can't watch boxing. So is there gonna be a prorated? You're gonna give like 3 more months in 2021 for free? You see what I'm saying? Herein lies the problem. Now here's the other thing. Let's say you have the monthly, then you can cancel either. It says pause or cancel anytime, full access to all live and on-demand content. There is nobody doing live because everything is shut down. Get every fight for the next 30 days. There are no fights. You see what I'm saying? Like, these are their selling points. So in a time like this that nobody anticipated or expected, I get that. But that's why I said the DAZN curse, because it's always something. It's always something. It says fight season lineup. May 2nd. We don't even know if this is going to go on still, because the BOXIngego canceled some fights already. I think Josh Kelly had a fight and some other people. So White Povetkin, don't know if it's going to happen. Usyk versus Chisora, don't know if it's going to happen. Canelo coming soon. They don't even have Billy Joe Saunders officially announced. They don't even have Triple G officially announced. Joshua, it just says coming soon, but we know he's fighting Pulev. But all these fights are now in doubt. And what if you're paying $19.99, or you paid for $100 for a year? It just sounds crazy at this point. It sounds crazy because what are you going to do? So I would have to imagine their cancellations are going through the roof right now, because this is not, like I said, like Hulu or Netflix, where in a situation like this, they have this huge backlog of content. Like Netflix, for example, they have shows like Narcos. If you're not going to work and your kids are off or whatever, and they're in their room and you want to watch a show, you could watch Narcos from start to finish, Breaking Bad from start, what I'm saying? You could watch actual series and Peaky Blinders and things like that. They don't have this type of backlog, so it becomes hard to justify the $19.99 that you're paying a month, which is higher. It's a higher market price than any other app. Like ESPN Plus is $4.99. Disney Plus by itself is like $6.99. But you can get, like I said, ESPN Plus, Disney Plus, and Hulu, all three of them, by clicking my link below, and it's only $12.99 for all three apps. So how can you get 3 apps owned by Disney, Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, and Hulu for several dollars cheaper than DAZN? And if you look at Disney Plus and ESPN Plus alone, excluding Hulu, there's no way that they have the type of content that will, with no boxing on the schedule, that's going to make it make sense. You see what I'm saying? But wait, there's more. So I pulled up this article from Ring magazine. Ring is owned by Golden Boy, and this is from a year ago. So keep this in mind. DAZN rolls out the new price point, $99.99 annual plan. They raised the monthly rate to $20, which I told you was ridiculous. So this was March 21st of last year. The new age of presenting programming is in a model is in flux, and the streaming illustrated that today, blah, blah, blah. So it's talking about how DAZN amped up the prices last year, right? DAZN organization still stands with their main selling point, but the crew is tweaking their pricing points. So they're talking about how they say pay-per-view's dead, which we know is not the case, because wrestling, WWE still doing pay-per-views, UFC still doing pay-per-views, Fox, PBC, Showtime, they're PBC, they're all doing it. ESPN Plus did pay-per-views with Wilder Fury 2, with Terrence Crawford and Amir Khan, and they're going to do one most likely with Teofimo and Lomachenko. So they raised the price, said all this pay-per-view is dead, annual price, blah, blah, blah. Then pay-as-you-go plan is still available, but the pricing option is now set at $20 a month, $19.99. The EVP, Joe Markowski, speaking from the UK, told Ring that the Dazn squad has determined in their time in the space that there are basically two types of customers watching Dazn and who might be Dazn subscribers. Quote, first, the value seekers. They've been surprised and I think delighted at the quality and the volume of our content at the price that has been made available and as compared to traditional pay-per-view landscape. We want to continue to serve those people. And then the second group we call the flexibility seekers. They are motivated in this modern OTT world to have the ability to step away from a subscription. They don't want to be wedded to a contract as they've been asked to. Markowski made sure to mention that current subscribers will be grandfathered in. Right? This is last year. Markowski made sure to be mentioned that current subscribers will be grandfathered in at that $9.99 a month rate before the new price points are activated on Monday, March 25th, which is actually my birthday. Shout out to the Pisces and Aries. We got it a little bit rough. We can't do much on our birthdays. This is my birthday date, which is another reason why I kind of remember the date from last year. And now we're doing the Roy Jones thing. Y'all must have forgot. So it says you're grandfathered into the $9.99 if you keep an ongoing subscription, right? The grandfather clause will be in play for 1 year, he stated. So basically, they said last year you can get DAZN for $9.99 a month if you were already a paying customer and you stayed a paying customer without any interruption in service. Like you would have to pay $9.99 every single month. If you said, oh man, I got less hours at my job, so I can't afford DAZN this month, and you canceled, then you would come back into the $19.99 price point. So the point being is, this was last year. So it says the grandfather clause will be in play for 1 year. So it's right around the time where these price points are going to go up, within the next 30 days. And it's such poor timing because we're in this quarantine thing. And if that's the case, unless they've changed their mind and said, hey, we're going to extend it and you can keep paying $9.99. First of all, it still don't make sense because this is some random pandemic and you're paying $9.99 for what? There's no live events, which is probably why you signed up. Nobody are having live shows. But even worse is if this is something that is automatically triggered, as it states in this Ring magazine article owned by Golden Boy, then that means right around March 25th, maybe a little bit later, then that means that most people are around the threshold where they're going to be due up for a price hike. It says the grandfather clause will be in play for 1 year, meaning even the people who are paying $9.99 and were the religious, day oneers, their price is going to move up to $19.99. So I don't know how they're going to do it. So DAZN should send emails or something to address it. And watch after I make this video, they'll probably send an email to people because people watch my channel and stuff. But this is something that, based on the time, is of concern because you have no live events and people's price point is about to jump up by double. And people are struggling to get toilet paper and necessities. So I could see this hurting DAZN a lot. I could see it hurting DAZN because they don't have live, fresh shows that they can air right now based on the current status of the world, And we'll see about these UK fights. I already made a video about it, but like Dillian White, Povetkin, to me, that's potentially in jeopardy. Chisora versus Usyk, that's potentially in jeopardy. Like I just got an email from my gym and they said you can't come to the gym. The gym is closed. You see what I'm saying? So you think I'm paying my gym membership for the month? Absolutely not. I couldn't go to the gym, even if I wanted to. So it's going to be interesting to see how DAZN handles this, because like I said, we're right on the cusp. They said the grandfather plans of $9.99 is only going to last for a year. So it's kind of poor timing. People's prices are going to be double and they're going to be pissed because we're getting no new DAZN content, no new DAZN shows based on what's going on with the Rona, and then their price point is going to double. So it's hard to sell. And they knew this because this is another article. DAZN to raise the monthly price. This is again from last year. Los Angeles Times, DAZN to raise their monthly price and offer a new annual pass, right? And they're like, oh, the annual price point. But see, either way, it looks suspect because the annual price point, they keep breaking it down. Oh, it's only $8, a little over $8 a month. Yeah, but we're not getting no new content. Nobody has shows. So that's why I told you I'm not paying for something a year in advance, and I don't even know what your calendar consists of, and you don't have no history of making hits. Now I'm vindicated because when I said it, people said, oh, you're hating and this, that, and the third. But now look at it. This is precisely why I said with a new company, and you didn't come out through the, like, okay, let's say Disney Plus. Disney Plus came out the gates at a cheaper price point, and out the gates, I knew what the content was going to be because on their website, it said we have The Little Mermaid, Lion King, Black Panther, Avengers. We have original series coming, blah, blah, blah. Boy Meets World, Smart Guy, X-Men, the original series, Batman. They had all these shows that were laundry listed. And I'm like, man, they got all this. They got 101. So I knew what I was getting into. And it was a cheaper price point. So I didn't have so yeah, there's some Disney Plus shows that I think like the Iron Man or the Loki show. These are getting postponed because of the virus or whatever. But they still got a lot of content. DAZN, to me, the only reason I would watch it is for their boxing, and they don't have no hefty backlog. And most of the stuff that they have backlog is like full fights of De La Hoya or something that I can watch on YouTube for free. So again, it becomes a hard sell for the $100 a month for stuff like this, or even the $9.99 jumping to $19.99. But last year, Markowski says, quote, "Do I expect initial blowback from the U.S. boxing fans?" he asked. Yes, sure. It's the nature of the 21st century. We are making this change after significant research project. In the end, I believe they will be understanding and recognize the continued value. But I've got my tin hat over the abuse I'm expecting from social media. I will say we wouldn't make any change without this analytic. So he knew that hiking up the price by double per month was going to get him poor feedback, because last year in this article with the Los Angeles Times that I'm showing you, he just admitted that and acknowledged it. They increased the price by 100%. It was $9.99, add $9.99 plus $9.99, that's $19.99. So you've, in essence, you just straight off the rip, first price hike, you doubled. Now we're in a time, a year in the future, where this is not making sense. People are paying $9.99 and everybody's $9.99 is going to expire unless they change, and they want to be flexible with the customer. But all of the $9.99s, they said the grandfather plans will jump to the same monthly price point. But it's such poor timing, as I've mentioned, because now you're going to jump up to a higher price for everybody, but you have no shows to run unless the UK gets a couple shows off, which is, is up to their legislation and their prime minister and stuff like that to see if they're going to allow these shows to continue, so it's up to their commissions. But all your Sergey Kovalev, okay, so Sergey Kovalev quadruple header on DAZN canceled. Virgil Ortiz fight canceled. You had a card with Marlon Esparza, Golden Boy card. Marlon Esparza, Lamont Roach, and Joette Gonzalez canceled. You had Regis Prograis versus Maurice Hooker canceled. So I feel like DAZN is probably going to get hit maybe the hardest out of the major boxing promoters in America because you can't run those shows and they don't have actual networks. So this is one of the problems that I mentioned to you from the beginning about not having a linear network like Fox and Showtime and ESPN. They're going to see a huge drop off, at least while we're in this quarantine, because I don't think they have enough content to sustain people's interest without their live shows. Most of the people who are ordering DAZN, I would imagine, if they do order in America, it's because they want to see the live show. You know, are you really doing it to watch a docu series 40 days, or, you know, especially when DAZN, I told you their whole business model was broken. They put highlights of KSI Logan Paul. So are you going to, during the quarantine or whatever, are you going to go back and say, hey, I want to pay $20 a month to watch KSI Logan Paul Part 2 on DAZN on their app, when they got the highlights on their own free YouTube page, which is what I told you. And they got full fights. Like, you know, actually, let me pull it up. Look, I'm going to show y'all. Look, DAZN, look, they got full. See, this is what I'm saying, bro. It's not even making no sense. So DAZN just put, you see an hour? DAZN Rewind. Gennady Golovkin versus Danny Jacobs. 14,000 views, bro. I'd be getting more views than that. They got 776,000 subscribers, and shit like this only gave them 14,000 views from 11 hours ago. And you got almost 1 million subs. I don't even have 500,000 subs. You know what I'm saying? And I'd be getting more views than that. But whatever. But the point I'm making is simple. You don't have no fights, and you're putting Look, Ryan Garcia Fonseca. So you don't need the DAZN app to watch that whole. It was only a 1-round fight. The whole thing's here. Look, whatever this fight. Look, Ryan versus Dono, another 1-rounder fight. Look. So all this backlog, Jake Paul, Anderson Gibb, all these full fights are on here. You know, they got all these full fights on here. So once again, what is the purpose for the app? You got highlights and full fights and stuff like that. What do you need the app for at a time like this in America with no live shows? This is what I told you. The business model is all messed up. The whole purpose from an app is the inclusion and exclusivity. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, so Netflix, you're not going to be able to find Narcos and Narcos Mexico season 1 through 4, every single episode in HD quality on YouTube. Trust me. You know, you would have to go through some real life backdoor website or something to get something that extensive, and it's not going to be easy. And then you have to worry about, you know, your IP address and all this other stuff. But DAZN they were always posting full fights and highlights and stuff. So now when you're running, you have an app that you're about to raise everyone's price point, you know, and you have annual paid customers who can't watch new fights because of something weird like this happened. And we don't even know when this is going to clear up. So who's going to feel comfortable paying for an app like DAZN during a time like this? Like I said, for Netflix is helping me get by. I was just watching some shows. You know, I was just watching some shows. I'm watching the Forensic Files, the Gabriel Fernandez trial, which is very sad. You guys should check it out. They have this Malcolm X documentary I want to watch. They just put Goodfellas on. You see what I'm saying? So like Netflix has stuff for a time like this. So I'm not going to cancel my Netflix because the production of a show might be suspended because of the coronavirus. You see what I'm saying? But with DAZN having all these fights, Canelo fights, and arguably these UK fights, and all the fights that I've already mentioned, Sergey Kovalev, Regis Prograis, it's like it makes it hard to justify why anyone would be paying this, and everyone's going to have to pay this price now with no new content for the foreseeable future until the governors and commissions, like Nevada said, the casinos are all closed. So you can't even watch it, even if, you know, that no one can stage anything if they wanted to. So it's a crazy situation, an unfortunate situation. And, you know, I knew it was going to have economic loss involved, but I'm anxious to see when we get back on our feet as a society and as the world. And I feel like DAZN's business model, here's where they have to be sweating bullets. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. We working. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.